All right, we are live.
Hey, quick question for you. I've been searching for it and I can't find the answer and thought maybe you could help.
Yeah, sure. What is it?
How many cookies can you fit up your butt?
What?
Trent said we usually sell a buttload of cookies on Valentine's, so I need to know what can be prepared for. What to be prepared for. Ugh, sorry.
You're okay.
Read. Hey, quick question for you. I've been searching for it and I can't seem to find the answer. I thought maybe you could help.
Sure. What is it?
How many cookies can you fit in your butt?
What?
Trent said we usually sell a buttload of cookies on Valentine's Day. So I need to know what to be prepared for, but I can't seem to find how many cookies the average person can fit up in their butt.
Okay. Well, if you must know, my record is 4, and I think I have an average butt size.
I don't know. It doesn't sound like enough.
More than 4? All right, I'll try. Here goes nothing.
You don't have to do it right now.
Yeah, it's okay. I'll just see if I can add a few more.
Wait, you already have some in there?
You don't?
Oh my God. I'll just put down 4.
Let's go! Butt cookies.
You've just logged into the 3-Butt Gamer Show. Welcome to the 3-Bit Gamer Show. I'm JD.
And this is Peterson.
And this is...
I'm at 6. Oh, okay. Is it okay if they're not all Crave-sized cookies? That's the...
Oh, see, I don't know what our listeners were thinking, because when I hear the word cookie, yeah, I assume a cookie that's kind of about the size of like your hand.
Yeah. No, that's right. That's 4 is where, yeah.
Yeah, 4 of those up there. No prob. Live from the 3-Bit Gamer Show. The news. All right. Our news is brought to us, of course, by Crave Cookies. Crave Cookies, this cookie shop that is most recently spreading to the south of Toledo, Ohio. I know,
right.
big market.
That's the place to be, I think. I've heard
Everybody
that.
shuffle down. About an hour southwest of Detroit, Michigan, you will find yourself in Maumee, Ohio, the home of the latest Crave Cookies opening.
Wait, is it called Mommy? Wait, how do you spell this?
Oh, yeah. Maumee.
No. Like, how do you... Is it M-A-M-I?
Maumee.
Okay.
Maumee, Ohio, also known as
there.
Big Mommy or Tall Mommy, Ohio. You guys come down there. You're in the region. You'll find me hoping to open a new Crave Cookies. If not, if you're anywhere else in these fine United States, jump on cravecookies.com, hit their location, their map, and find yourself a closer location. You'll also find on their website their latest menu of cookies. There are a lot of cookies at Crave Cookies. I'm sorry, I just got distracted. I realized I'm logged into the wrong StreamYard account. I hope that's not a problem.
I don't think so. I think we're fine. I don't know.
Crave Cookies has a new menu every week. It comes out on Friday, but you're listening to this podcast on Tuesday, and we're going to tell you what's coming up this Friday. We're going to blow your minds. This is the next menu that's coming out at Crave Cookies. The chocolate chip. This is the last week to get your Flintstone on. That is the Fruity Pebbles cookie. The white chocolate caramel blondie.
Okay.
I like the idea of making a cookie and calling it a blondie. It seems like we've kind of just gone full circle back to a cookie.
Actual circle. Because aren't blondies, the difference is that they're square?
Yeah, dude. Can't wrap my head around the blondie quite yet. Trent, this is the CEO and founder's #1 favorite cookie, the horchata churro.
He loves that one.
We'll do our best not to screw it up. The cookies and milk. This is a chocolate chip cookie that is stuffed with, like, it's supposed to resemble like milk, more like cream cheese filling. But it's stuffed in there. So it feels like you're eating cookies and milk without the milk. It's perfect. And then finally, the chocolate cupcake is our cold cookie.
Solid.
So,
I want a cookie so bad.
Hustle on down to Crave and put some cookies in your butt. The Concord virus death toll continues to rise. Concord. I'm sorry I screwed up your headline, Peterson. It was
It's
good.
okay.
The Concord virus is a great way to refer to what has been sweeping through Sony PlayStation recently.
Yeah, that's how I was thinking of it, and I was like, "Oh, I
Yeah.
like this," so I just went with it.
The Concord virus started with 200 million victims over at Sony PlayStation. This was their latest game, multiplayer games as a service game, live service game, whatever you want to call it. Basically, you're on the hook forever. If you're playing this game,
We've spent more time talking about it than it was actually existed as a game. That's how bad it is.
$200 million was what it cost Sony by some estimates to make, and it's already been pulled. So they made $0. In fact, I feel like they made negative dollars because they refunded everyone who bought it.
Yeah.
But this is having reverberating effects over at Sony, and 2 more games, both live service projects, were canceled by Sony PlayStation last week. These were games out of the Oregon-based Bend studio. Most people might recognize their most famous project, or at least to me, it was Siphon Filter.
Yeah.
That game was sick on the original PlayStation. That's that team. Also, Texas-based Blue Point Games. Blue Point was working
It didn't
on
Bend do Days Gone?
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's their most recent thing.
Yeah, that's like a pretty big one. It wasn't great, but it made money, I think.
Yeah, true. And then the other one was Blue Point Games, and they were working on a God of War spinoff. Bend was working on some military shooter. I'm like, come on,
we're
fine. Good.
Like
we're actually all good on that.
Yeah.
The studios won't be closing, but obviously losing their biggest projects is probably going to lead to some layoffs. And funny thing from this article that was pointed out, and I thought it was some great context setting, I think it was from Kotaku, was that they said that back in there was just a reminder that 2 years ago in 2023, then PlayStation CEO Jim Ryan promised, this was 2 years ago, well, less than 2 years ago, because we've only been in this year for like 2 weeks. He promised 12 live service games by 2025. That's this year. And over half of those have been canceled, or in the case of Concord, unreleased. Dude, Jim Ryan, what a legacy. 25 years at Sony, and this is on your way out. You just take the steaming giant turd on what was a pretty successful game studio that was pumping out hits like Horizon Zero Dawn and Last of Us, and you're like, you know what we need? The opposite of that. I'm gonna bet the fucking farm on it. Well,
guys, they were taking God of War, which is a notoriously famous single-player game, and making a live service spinoff of God of
Elden
War.
Ring.
Why would you do that? Like,
it's just crazy.
No one wants that. So it's funny because I read this and I was like, my first reaction was like, good. Those games should be shut down. And then I was like, ugh, people are going to lose their jobs now. Like, bad decision making is going to make people.
Jim
lose
Ryan's
jobs.
not paying the consequences. That guy is a multi-millionaire. He probably has a net worth of close to $100 million, and he's just floating on a yacht somewhere, reading this on his phone like, sucks.
Dang, I really was thinking we could do that in the next 2 years, release 12 live service games. What did they get to? 1? And then canceled?
It was pulled.
Yeah, like
it sounds like they've got 1 or 2 still in the works. We'll see if those will. Yeah, I mean, for me, this is a great sign. I know, like you said, it sucks that people are losing their jobs, but what an outright acknowledgement that it feels like studios have. I talked about this like a calendar year ago when we were talking about the Blursties, and I predicted, or my year predictions last year, that Suicide Squad was going to get delayed because they were going to try to do better with it. And no, they just forced it out. People fucking hated that game, and they just forced it out. And this has been the last couple years, is the Jim Ryans of the gaming industry have been like, no, just force the live service game out. We'll get it out there. We'll fix it. We'll fix the plane when it's in the air, but we got to get people on the plane buying microtransactions. Fucking crazy. I think this is a good sign, though, that maybe the writings on the wall for the bigger studios, that live service isn't an automatic ticket to. And honestly, I hope their takeaway isn't, well, we just need to make more single player games. Because the takeaway should be, we should make good games. The problem with live service games isn't inherently that they are live service games. Fuck, look at Heroes of the Storm. Live service game. Brilliant. Flawless, some might say. The problem
Marvel
is that
Rivals is doing so well right now. Everyone's playing it.
Absolutely. The original Overwatch, even in its original state, like brilliant. The problem is that you're making shitty games, and live service games are much easier to make shitty because you're like, well, if X, Y, and Z doesn't work, we'll just update it later. It's not like they paid for it. That's the attitude that these executives have is, well, it was free. So of course certain things don't work. Of course, League of Legends doesn't have a sandbox mode. Fuck you. It's free. So I hope that they realize that we need good games, and that's how you make money in the gaming industry. We'll see. We'll see. Shockingly, Activision hasn't helped Microsoft make a return on their $75 billion investment, and they won't be doing it anytime soon.
How do you recoup that? That's just so much money. Like, oh, gosh.
Where do you start, right?
Well, I feel like it was like we're looking at like decade number of years to recoup that from this one acquisition, right?
Well, they had a plan. This was a report out of the information, and a couple quotes from this that were interesting to me. And in 2021, Microsoft CEO Satya Nadella faced a choice involving the company's Xbox and cloud gaming business. The company could either acquire major game studios to drive more subscriptions to its nascent Game Pass subscription service, or it could wind down its game business entirely. So, and this was what Nadella was saying. I don't realistically think this was this like inflection point, that it was like a firm line in the sand where Microsoft absolutely had to make these. I think this was the grand visions of this fucking delusional CEO, like so many tech CEOs are, where he's like, we need to do X or we need to do Y, and that's it. And because, the boss said that, that's what you need to do. And so it's like, well, we need to map out the decision trees for both of these two decisions as if they are the only two decisions that are absolutely possible. So he was basically like, either we go all in, spend a bunch of money on this, and go fucking hog wild on Game Pass, or we shut it all down. And you're telling me, seriously, now I know I'm an outside observer and just a keyboard genius, but what the fuck? That was the only two choices you had? That's what you built? That's what you designed the last like 5 years around, with no like change of course? You're like, this is what we're going to do. We're going full hog on Game Pass, or we're going to just tap out. And that's honestly explains fucking everything. It explains like everything that's happened at Microsoft since 2021. I get it now. Their company, like so many tech firms, is run by an idiot. Like a crazy idiot.
They're just so out of touch, I feel like, is the problem. They just like have no idea.
Yeah.
And I think I'd say high profile CEOs show this time and time again, how out of touch with reality they actually are. A lot of and gaming, I don't know what it is about the gaming industry. Maybe there has been, I don't know, but there needs to be some sort of study launched, because they are genuinely, as an industry, just bad, just generally making poor decisions over and over and over. And I don't know if it's because they feel like they're up against the wall with investors or something, but they just make the wrong decision regularly. And against all recommendation, they make the poor decision.
And this decision was predicated on the idea that they could get 100 million subscribers on Game Pass by 2030, which would mean that they would need to triple their current subscriber base in just 5 years. I mean, 100 million people is basically like, well, it's a third of the United States population.
Just try to get like every household,
every single household, right, in America needs to have Xbox Game Pass for them to recoup what they spent on Bethesda and Activision over the last couple of years. But Game Pass revenue only grew by 5.7% in the year to June, which is below their internal target of 11%. And their whole, another part of this Game Pass investment and their, which, the larger investment was buying Activision, was that they would lure other game developers to rent its Azure servers. Azure? How do you say that?
Azure.
Azure? They're Azure servers. And it just hasn't happened. So basically all of Satya Nadella's plans, based on this like black or white decision that he came up with out of the blue, pulled it out of his ass like a cookie. And he's like, this is what it is. And you know what? A 4-year like business plan is all going to be predicated on this one thing I just came up with. We either go all in or we just pull out of the gaming business, which, is, I guess, low key kind of brilliant. Because from a CEO's perspective, if I'm sitting in his shoes right now and I'm in a board meeting explaining this, I'm like, well, yeah, I said this would happen. We probably should have just pulled out of the gaming industry entirely. We should have just wound it down. Sorry, I had our bases covered. He basically gets to say I told you so, even after he makes a massive fucking mistake.
You know what I
Genius.
think? You know what I think the mistake was? And this is a classic blunder that CEOs and C-suite types of execs make, is they set themselves in seemingly arbitrary target. He said 2030, 100 million
100 million.
subscribers, right? And so
Bitch, there's not going to be 100 million people on this planet by 2030. Are you fucking crazy? How can you even think that far out?
so here's the thing to get there. So then you throw out this arbitrary number, right? I guarantee there wasn't some algorithm he did that was like, this is what we do, because it's a square 100 million. If it was an algorithm, he'd be like 89.2. You know what I mean?
Right.
He didn't say
Just
that. He said
round it
100
up.
million because it sounds good. And so they do this, and then they go into it backwards. They say, okay, 100 million, that's the target. 2030, how do we get there? What do we need? And then somebody crunches someone who actually has a brain, crunches numbers, and they're like, we need every Call of Duty player to be playing Call of Duty on Xbox Game Pass. And they're like, done. That's easy. Let's do that. So they are driving towards this target instead of, because Games Pass has been a successful business model in the past. When it started to become more of a liability was when they decided that they're going to ramp this up so hard, so fast. That's not how you do it. You grow the business naturally. You keep adding things slowly. You keep making it more attractive over time. You already had a business model that was working, and then you tried to gut it by setting an arbitrary target. So I think that's the mistake. I think the mistake was made by the CEO at that point, setting this target, which was nonsense, by the way. Like, there's no reason behind it. They were making money already. They were already running a successful business, and they just couldn't handle being that.
They can't shake this. This is like so embedded in the DNA of Microsoft Xbox. They were doing this shit back with the Xbox One at E3 2015 or whenever the fuck they launched that. And they came out with the whole big, this is going to replace your cable box and everything else. This is going to be the one and only thing. And probably their math said 100 million Xboxes in American homes, because based on their that concept that it's going to be everything and everywhere all at once. That's what Game Pass was going to do. It was going to be the only place anyone got their games from. It's madness.
They also, and I just thought of this, they also made a very dangerous assumption that people would be playing Call of Duty forever. Call of Duty in the past has been very successful, but at some point it will fall off.
They bought it at it was already heading down from its peak.
Yeah, they absolutely did.
It's insane.
And
same with World of Warcraft and all of Blizzard's properties.
This is the equivalent of back in 1992 being like, we're going to go all in on Kmart. Kmart is the big wig. They're going to be around forever. No one can stop them. This is it. Kmart is where everyone goes. I haven't. I saw a Kmart in New Zealand, and that was the first time I'd seen a Kmart in decades. It just and what happened was
It
someone
stands for
came in.
Kiwi Mart out there.
Yeah, it's Kiwi Mart. Somebody came in, did something better, did something more attractive. That can happen. It historically happens with everything. There is no product, no video game that is immune to that. So they assumed Call of Duty would be the go-to franchise forever. And they bought it like that was the case, like you said, at its peak. And they didn't buy it with the intention like, hey, this is going down. We need to turn it around. They bought it with the understanding that everyone plays Call of Duty, which is a little bit true right now. But again, they're not capitalizing on that at all. And Call of Duty is not crushing it. I played the new Call of Duty stuff for like 3 days. So
Yeah, I don't know what their game plan is, but it will be interesting to watch Satya Nadella get a bonus, huge fat fucking bonus.
oh
this
yeah, that'll
year.
be great. He's gonna feel good.
He's done a
about that.
great job. The Nintendo Switch 2 has finally been officially announced, and they forgot to name it the Super Switch. Did somebody not forward them this podcast? I thought that
Super
they
Switch
were
would have been kind of cool, actually.
the Super Switch. Are you fucking
It like
serious?
sounds good. There's some alliteration going on. Like that sounds nice. Switch 2 is just like whatever.
Okay.
Super
Is that
Switch?
really that's what they're gonna just call it the Switch 2?
I think it's called the Switch 2. Yeah. That I haven't seen it called anything else.
I mean, yeah. Oh yeah. It's just like a 2. So right there on the console, Switch 2.
Yeah. I'm Super
That's a
Switch.
bummer. They
Damn it,
must not be listening to this podcast.
I don't know. They didn't want it to be shortened to the SS. That's
And they didn't want to have to pay us royalties.
they
We
hate
do have a
paying us
good lawyer.
royalties. Yeah.
Switch 2 is out this year. Ugh, I don't even like it. I don't like saying it. The Super Switch is out this year. It will have magnetically attachable Joy-Cons, replacing the slide-in ones. USB-C port and a new, which does it not already have that? And a new button on the right Joy-Con. New buttons, always a good thing to have new buttons. It will be completely backwards compatible with the original Switch.
So you can play all your Switch games
known
on
as
that.
the Switch Entertainment System, the SES, and they will have a lot more information for us at the Nintendo Direct on April 2nd. It looks a little bit bigger.
It's bigger. The Joy-Cons are bigger, which is nice for
stick
someone
out
with hands
more.
like me. The biggest issue I have is did you see the way they clamp in? You have to like put it in. There's a little like little connector thing sticking out. It does not look sturdy. It looks like it will break so easily. That's number one concern. And that's attached to the actual console, like the screen part of it. So like that's it. Like
I mean,
that
it
breaks.
looks that way, but I have faith that
I don't
they're
feel
not
good
going
about
to
it.
do this.
That's because you don't have kids at your house.
No way they put out no. I bet that thing is like fucking titanium coated.
No, my kids will break it so fast. You don't even know.
I bet you could use it like one of those hammers to break a car window.
Your screen breaks before the connector. That would be ideal. They did address the stick drift issue. They said that has been addressed on the new Joy-Cons. One thing, I haven't seen a lot of it, but I did see it once. And if you Google it, you can see. But one of the Joy-Cons, and maybe that's the one with the extra button, you can use as a mouse. Have you seen that? You flip it on its side, so it's on the connector side, and you can use it as a mouse. It was in the video, I think, but you weren't seeing it. Like I haven't seen it talked about a lot, but I thought that was super cool. That could change all sorts of things with like what Switch games can do, what they can be. So yeah, you can use it as a mouse.
I mean, I look at it this way: the Switch had a lot of amazing features that we didn't even think about, like we wanted. We didn't know we wanted some of the things with the Switch, and it was so dope. And I understand that this one is kind of just piggybacking off of that, but I would be surprised if it doesn't have a few things like that, a few cool surprises or things that shock us.
Also, it is coming out with the new. They announced, I think, 2 games. I predicted 3, and I did predict Mario Kart would be one of them. That was the easy one. It is releasing with a new Mario Kart finally. We haven't had new Mario Kart in a long, long, long time.
What are we on,
So
like 8 now?
yeah, and 8 was already on the Wii U. So
It's
they just
been, yeah.
made 8 for the Switch. So it's been a long time. So new Mario Kart is coming out. That's kind of exciting. That's going to be a big seller of the Switch 2, which is, I think they announced $400, which is, I would say, honestly, like people are like, oh, it's like not that big of a change for 400, but for a handheld console these days, that's kind of par for the course. I was at Walmart or Target and we saw a few, sorry, I was at Kmart and we saw a few, we were looking at the handhelds because there's a decent number of different handhelds now. And they were all $400 to $600. So
Yeah.
this is kind of in the price range. And for a Nintendo one, I don't know. I think I saw some people grumbling about it a little bit. I don't think that's out of bounds at all, to be honest.
Yeah. I mean, compared to rent, it's nothing. I got a
It's not
17-year-old kid works for me. Is $1,300 rent a week or a month. I'm sorry. So that's like a third of rent. No biggie.
yeah, and this place, what was it? What did the PlayStation announce? It was
Yeah.
$700.
Yeah.
So
It's
like
basically free.
this is 400 is like that's feels good. Feels good.
Yeah. Feels really good. Thanks, Nintendo. The developer behind Genshin Impact will be banned from selling loot boxes to teens under 16 without parental consent, and they'll need to pay a $20 million fine to settle FTC charges. FTC coming out here with, I don't know, a wrist slap. $20 million is probably what Genshin Impact makes in a day. But
In like an hour and a half, they release
yeah,
something new, 20 million right away.
right. The Singapore-based HoYoverse is the developer, and they will be blocked. They are supposed to block children under 16 from making in-game purchases without parental consent, which seems impossible to actually police. So that's meaningless.
Yeah.
They'll be settling FTC allegations that the company violated a children's privacy law, aka COPA, and that they deceived children. It says they actively marketed Genshin Impact to children and collected personal information from them. That's
That
big
can't do
no-no
that.
with
Yeah.
COPA. That's the Children's Online Privacy Protection Rule. And they also deceived players about the odds of winning particular sought-after, quote, 5-star loot box prizes, and misled them on how much it would cost to open loot boxes and win the prizes, which, I knew this was a thing. But it always kind of just takes me back just for a sec when I read that you get a loot box, but you have to pay either money or in-game currency to open the loot box. For me, that's beyond the pale. The loot box is already a gate for the items I want in the game. To add a second layer to that is fucked.
Yeah.
I don't know what else to say. Like, it just seems like on its face inherently bad. Like, as you release that as a plan or like an idea as a feature, dozens of people should have said that's bad. That's an unpleasant experience for our customers, our users, whatever. But they're
Greed
like, nah.
ruined loot boxes because loot boxes should be in games and they should be items that you earn
And then you just open them.
because that's fun. It's like it's the exact same thing as in Pokemon Pocket that we're playing. The card game, you open a pack. It's a loot box, right? It's just fun to open it up, but those are free. Right? You should be able to buy all the skins, whatever you want. They create a skin, you should be able to buy it. You should also be earning loot boxes in their games by playing the game. That's incentive to play. I think that is the appropriate way to do it, but greed has ruined them. They're like, dude, people love opening these loot boxes. What if you could pay for them and buy them and then make the skins even rarer and stuff like that? And you're like, I think that's the wrong way to do it. This needs to be earnable item is a loot box only. You can only earn them by playing the game. That's it.
Well, Samuel Levine, the director of the FTC's Bureau of Consumer Protection, agrees with us. He said, quote, companies that deploy these dark pattern tactics will be held accountable if they deceive players, particularly kids and teens, about the true cost of in-game transactions. Now, I don't want to give the FTC too hard of a time. I think their hands are kind of tied on the types of fines they can actually issue and punishments that they can dole out, but it's something. I'm going to take it. I'll call it a win. Way to go, FTC. Thanks.
sorry to inform you. Welcome to another company reset. Hope you've updated your resume. 'Cause you've just been laid off.
I didn't want to start playing this early in the year.
I mean, there's actually a whole bunch, but I only picked one this week. There's like a bunch of little ones this week. A bunch.
Yeah, but we're just gonna do the one, and it's that Microsoft, surprisingly, has announced an unknown number of layoffs. I always like those, the mystery layoffs. Aren't those fun?
Yes. Yeah. Unknown number of layoffs. And the quote from this is my favorite one. I'll read it. Do you want to read it?
No, you read it.
At Microsoft, we focus on high performance talent. We are always working on helping people learn and grow. When people are not performing, we take appropriate action.
Cut your fucking head off.
This is
We'll kill you.
Yeah. Obviously there are some places in the company where they are underperforming, and obviously you're going to blame that
right
on the
in the
employees.
CEO suite. There's this guy, real idiot.
He's losing them so much money. He is definitely underperforming, but no, he's not getting the boot.
No, you got to pay for his bonus somehow.
It is these underperforming employees, and there's a few groups in Microsoft that are getting hit, but gaming is one of them. It's listed
gaming,
as one of the
security,
groups.
and sales. Your sales aren't doing well? That's really rough.
We got some bad sales guys. I didn't put this in the doc because it's not necessarily gaming, but Meta, so Facebook, right? That company, they are doing the same thing. And this one was even worse because they were like, we always kind of weed out the underperformers, but Zuckerberg really wants to get that bottom 5% out of the company. So he's taking the Jack Welch method where the bottom 5, just cut them.
Yeah.
And if you did that every year, it's like, it doesn't make sense. It's horrible. It's not a good way to run a business. And that has been shown time and time again.
You're telling me running a multi-billion-dollar international corporation, you can't run it like the Hunger Games?
I mean,
I don't understand, because at the end of the Hunger Games is the number one best kid-killing kid. He's better than all the dead kids at killing kids. So if you eliminate all the lowest performers, theoretically at the very top, you'd have the best performer who should just be able to do everything at Microsoft.
Yeah,
it's a brilliant system.
Actually, that does work really well. I
don't know why it's not working.
I don't know. Yeah,
let's just keep doing it. The spokesperson for the company reportedly said the layoffs were small in number. They didn't offer a figure. They just said it's less than 1%. Less than 1%, motherfucker. You have 228,000 employees. Less than 1% is still 2,000 fucking people.
Yeah, like we're still talking big numbers.
It's like a small town.
Yeah.
It's just like one small town in America being laid off in a day. It's totally fine.
Yeah, it is odd to me that we always see the numbers. And it's weird to me that there is no number attached to this announcement or story or whatever. They were like, yeah, we're not gonna say, because they view people as they view humans as a resource.
Weird. Can't wrap my head around that one.
I can.
All right, get ready. That big checkered basket is coming to your table to just fill you with disappointment. It's time for riblets. These are news stories that don't have quite a full rib's worth of meat on
empty calories and disappointment, and that's what these are.
It's just sauce,
just
on
little
bones.
Guys.
Broken cow bones. Elon Musk is beefing with the streamer Asmongold.
Asmongold. I love this story. I didn't want to spend a ton of time talking about it because Elon Musk just pissed me off. But Asmongold is a huge streamer, like massive. He's like one of the biggest. He's up there, if not the biggest game streamer. But I guess Elon Musk has been coming out saying he is one of the top Path of Exile 2 players in the world. I don't know why they have to try to flex on this. You are the richest man in the world. why are you out there being like, I'm the best Path of Exile 2 player? I'm pretty sure you have other stuff to do, like move into the White House, but I don't want to talk about that. So he's out there saying this, and then he starts to stream some of his Path of Exile 2 play, and then streamers are calling him out, and they're like,
It's
no.
clear he's a fucking no nothing.
Yeah, because he's like, oh, he said he was playing hardcore mode, which is where if you die, you're dead. You die, it's instant death, permadeath, so you got to start all over. He's playing permadeath, and he's saying he got on hardcore mode, I get a character to level 97 all by myself, and he's just doing all this bragging. And then, but he's streaming, and they're watching this going, that's not true at all. This is not accurate at all. And so he gets called out, and of course, he starts beefing with Asmongold,
who was one of the top streamers to have called him out in the first place.
Yes. So he beefs with Asmongold, and to do this, he let's see, he releases some of his and Asmongold's like private text message conversations
that showed nothing. It was just Elon Musk has some like serious mental issues.
He seriously has some problems, you guys.
Yeah,
he also
real weird problems.
He also removed his blue check mark. I'm like, what?
Dude, the idea that he just like has a guy at Twitter that he can just text and probably gets texts like this from Elon Musk all the time. Here's the other thing is this is, on paper, like the richest man in the world who's doing all this crazy shit right now. And Asmongold, I remember I watched a video once. These other two streamers go to his house, and it's kind of like it's very sad. He lives the life of like a hoarder / cat lady. His house is just like disgusting, and everything's just like a gross mess. And basically, this is like the prototypical like basement dweller, and without doing anything, this guy is like fully underneath Elon Musk's skin. Yes. I cannot imagine being so hopelessly online that like this would affect me. It's so fucking crazy, especially if I was the richest person on earth and some like dirty basement streamer was like making troll videos about me, and I was like, this is my number one fucking priority.
Handle this. I can't.
Like you said, he's literally moving into the White House, and this is what he's doing. Like, I can't. I like sometimes like the news all just hits me at once, the reality that we're living in, and I just deflect it because I can't process this stuff. All of this stuff is just so crazy.
This is what I'm talking about when I say CEOs are just completely out of touch with reality. Elon Musk is absolutely that guy. Why would Elon Musk need to go online and brag about his video game prowess?
Dude, this is something
doesn't.
Crazy rich recluses have been doing for decades. But like back in the day, if you were like a Howard Hughes type, you just like let your fingernails grow out. You'd go like take up a suite in Las Vegas, build an airplane out of wood, and just watch the same movie on repeat for the rest of your fucking life and just go crazy. But now they have this thing called social media, which just, and 500 times as much wealth. I just can't. We got to move on. I fucking can't stand this shit. Pal World, back in the day, only had one guy trying to keep the servers alive when it firstly came out.
I only put this in here because it's hilarious to me.
Very quick. Last January, when Pal World was at its peak and there were millions of people on their servers, of course, at some point, because there were only 40 people in the studio, everyone had to go home, like to sleep. And there was this point where everything was blowing up and going crazy, and there were so many people on the servers, and there was just one singular employee, the janitor.
They
had accidentally stumbled on the keyboard, and he's like,
keep it together.
I guess this is my job now. And he just sat there, just keyboard hacking away, keeping the servers up.
I don't know about this guy, but knowing Pal World and how everything works, this guy was probably 17.
Yeah.
Maybe 18.
Like I said, he was the janitor.
And they're like, hey,
he saw flashing on the screen, and he's like, oh, shit.
What does this mean? I just laid one guy. 2 million people were online playing at its peak, and one guy was trying to keep it alive.
Dude, what a fucking hero. Most people can't say that they've had that experience. This guy, though,
No.
he goes to sleep every night like a baby because it's not the night that he had to keep 1 million people on the same servers.
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, what stress? There's nothing that stresses me out. Not anymore. Guy could be a fucking brain surgeon now. The Oblivion gates are now reopening, maybe. This is regarding a remake of Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion.
Yeah.
And it's seeming to look more likely. The details of this remake appeared on a portfolio website for a former employee of Virtuous, which is a global outsourcing production company that said that they were working on the Oblivion remake between 2023 and last year. I don't know. This is pretty thinly sourced. I also think it would be a fucking huge slap in the face if they released after they teased Elder Scrolls 6
years ago, 7
It was
years
at
ago.
E3, wasn't it? When
Yeah.
E3 still existed when they fucking teased that.
The only thing I'll say I like about this is some of the older, like Oblivion was a fun game. I did play a bunch of that game. And if what I would love to see is they remake this and they kind of update the graphics, but also update some of the systems. So like combat is a little tighter and things like that. Like I would be interested in that. Like that might be kind of
But
fun.
they're not going to do that. They didn't do
Just
it for
why don't you
Warcraft
just
3. They're not going to. I'm sorry,
just
bro. It's not going to
stop.
happen.
Stop. Just
They're
let
not
me
going to update
dream.
shit. It's
Why
going to be
don't
like
you let me dream?
it's going to be like when they released the Grand Theft Auto collection.
Okay. Also, or do that because that was made for tons of
Yeah.
fodder on this podcast.
Just release a mobile port of your game. That's going to be fucking sweet. It now takes almost 900 hours to unlock a single new champion in League of Legends.
Smart.
Yeah, this is a bit clickbaity on the title, but it basically is Riot has rolled out a new battle pass that takes a crazy amount of time and energy to complete. And after a while, I feel like from what I understood from this, it's like diminishing returns to the point that if you're a new player, it gets like progressively harder. Now, I did see a more generous estimate based on the new battle pass system for how it may take. If you're a new player and you're playing this game regularly, you could probably hope to unlock 30 champs a year, which you're like, that sounds pretty good. It's like a couple a month. That's not bad. But don't forget that League of Legends has 169 total champs, and there's absolutely no way to play any of them unless you actually own them. And so you don't get a chance to practice or play against them. You only can practice by playing against them. You have no idea what they do unless I guess you watch YouTube videos 169 times. Like there's no way to like actually experience the champs unless you're just grinding away for 6 years to get all of them.
Well, you can open up the wallet and just buy some.
Or hey, I know how you can get the champs real fast. A speedrunner playing Crazy Taxi played it with a live band to avoid copyright issues. This is cool till I watched the video. Did you watch the video?
No.
This was awesome games done quick. The speedrunner Chuckles825 was playing through Crazy Taxi as quickly as possible. And a band called Limiter Cut accompanied the action with covers of the songs from the games. So they could... I think it's awesome. It was a cool concept.
It's fun.
Really awesome.
Like whatever.
I like
This
the
is
idea.
fun. I feel like that would be a fun thing to do.
The band it's kind of like a high school cover band energy to it,
but much older.
Yeah. I kind of almost felt bad because I was like, dude, you're just being picky. Like, this is like a small indie band or whatever. But like, the more I listened to it, the more I was like, I think they're out of their element. Dude, they probably are good at their own music, but they are not a good cover band. I feel like that's not an insult. Some bands are good cover bands. Others, you've got your own thing.
Yeah.
I don't want to hear Panic at the Disco covering The Offspring, which is kind of what this sounded like.
Oh, man.
It's kind of tough. But I love the idea. I love the energy. Keep it up.
It's a fun
Sorry.
event. Like there were
Yeah, it's
people
fucking the
there
coolest thing
cheering
ever.
and like having a good time. So
I would go to this if I'd seen this live. I would have said no such negative things. This is
we'd
just
talk about it in kudos and be like, we had
uh-huh.
a great time. Had a
Yeah,
great time at this weird
absolutely.
concert
I'm just
thingy.
being a nitpicky little bitch because we're on the internet. That's what you
That's
do.
what
But yeah,
folks
very cool
do.
stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, last up before we move on, guys, the Blurstie voting is now live. Probably have it up for a week or two. You go to 3bitgamershow.com/Blursties, or you can find a link in our Discord. But we want those votes. We want to
I
know
need to
what
vote
you
still.
think. We're the Blurstie. We have had a lot of votes already, so appreciation to all the people who've already voted. But we want to hear what you think was the Blurst this year. Hi, Abby.
Kudos. Kudos. Kudos.
Kudos is our positivity segment. Peterson, what do you got? What
All right,
what made you happy?
I got a pretty simple one. There's this candy that I've been kind of seeing around. We got some for Christmas. They're called peelers
That's
with
what
a
this is
Z.
for.
Have you seen them? Have
Dude,
you
I've
had them?
had these. I
Okay.
love these.
So it is they're gummy candies that are they're fruit flavored gummies, and they have like a outer layer that you can like peel, and then you get to like the even more gummy stuff in the middle.
Oh baby.
And
Yeah.
like it is a texture experience, I will say. Because there's like some interesting textures going on because the outer layer is still gummy, but it's a little more firm, and then the inside's like a real gooey gummy type of thing. Not like a gusher, it's not like liquid, it's just like a lot softer. But here's what I'll say. I've only had the mango ones. They have, let's see, mango, peach, banana, orange, and grape. I've only had the mango, and I've only seen mango banana, and I hate banana candy, so I wasn't gonna get that. And what I'll say, have you had the mango ones?
I think I've had mango and banana. Yeah.
Mango ones taste like a freaking mango.
Yeah.
Like I was eating it, I was like,
Flavors are amazing on them.
what the heck? This tastes exactly like a mango. Like it tastes like a good mango. It wasn't like candy version of mango, in my opinion. It tasted like a good mango. If you've ever had one, they're very sweet.
Mm-hmm.
They have a very unique flavor. I was blown away. I really was. I was like, what is this candy? And so I saw the peach ones. I saw someone holding the peach ones, and I was like, where did they get that? 'Cause I couldn't find them anywhere, but I want to
You're
get
just stolen
peach,
them from their hands.
orange, and crabs could steal from them. Like I'm at
Pokemon cards at Costco.
at Costco. That's exactly
Yeah.
what I was.
That's the
gonna
energy
say.
we're going into in 2025. You want something, you see another customer with it, just take it out of their fucking cart.
Take it out of their hand. Like why?
Yeah, that's yours now. You wanted it more.
I'm the main character. So anyways, if you have a chance to see these, honestly try them. I was blown away by the mango ones. It's not like a candy you sit there and eat 40 of either. You eat it and you're like, what the heck is this candy? Like, what am I eating right now? And it's an experience. It's a gummy experience in your mouth. So
Yeah. I like
eat
those
peelers.
a lot. I've been enjoying those whenever I get them or see them around.
Mhm.
I have a Fudos, a quick one for Jenna and I went to In-N-Out today, and I had gone
Okay.
on a long run, and she's been doing jujitsu like 5 days a week. So we were both starving. And Jenna just went for it. I said, what do you want? She says, I want a 3x3 protein
Oh,
style.
shoot. Oh, protein style 3x3.
Dude, look, I've been going to In-N-Out for so many years, and I knew you can get as many patties and cheese as you want. But it always seemed insane for me to break out of the norm, and I thought it would be repulsive. I thought it would be like it would ruin the form factor of the
It's too
sandwich.
much. Yeah.
But, I was starving and feeling a little crazy, a little meat starved, and so I was like, fuck it. I got a regular 3x3 with, like, the bun and everything. I don't know if I can go back to a double-double.
Oh, no.
It was the most perfect,
I gotta get one.
meaty sandwich. And for some reason, I don't know, it felt like it had a little bit more of a char on it, but probably because I got an extra patty that had, 2 more. It, increased the char by 50%. Dude, it's not too much. If you guys have been considering it and you want like a fatter In-N-Out burger and you're just like scared because I don't want to mess with it, just get the 3x3. I swear dude, I can't go back.
Wow.
I can't go back. It was so good.
All
Just
right.
meaty.
I do want
that. Want it again.
I've
And then
I've been doing like a calorie deficit diet, so just trying to eat like 1,500-1,600 calories a day.
In-N-Out's great for that.
Yeah, and, lettuce wrap burgers are actually
Mhm.
really good for that. Like, it's not a ton of calories, so now I'm really hungry. Dang.
Yeah, sorry,
So
bro. You got to go get that. And then don't forget to get those hot peppers. They chop on there. So spicy just slides right
wait,
down.
I've never had hot peppers at In-N-Out.
Yeah, just gas for peppers on your sandwich next time.
I didn't know that
Those
was a thing.
chopped yellow
Alright.
ones and the spicy.
Chopped
They're not like
peppers,
crazy
animal
spicy, but they're
style?
you know, if you want to do it animal style, whatever you
Yeah.
want, bro. Do whatever you
Alright.
want.
Okay.
But they're like a little bit hotter than a jalapeno. And
Yeah.
oh, yeah, you've never had spicy In-N-Out. You haven't lived.
Oh my god. My mouth is watering right now. I'm
I'm
really
so
hungry.
sorry.
So
I was so satisfied by it. And then the other quick kudos I have goes out to a 2018 film starring Nicolas Cage called Mandy.
Never heard of this.
It's a revenge flick. It's a psychedelic, hyper-violent revenge flick.
Oh.
And it fucking slaps. It's not streaming anywhere. You have to check it out from the library.
Okay.
But I just returned it. Actually, no, I need to return it tomorrow. And then you can check it out from the library. Abby, you've seen Mandy? Dude, I'll try to describe it as briefly as possible. Nick Cage is a lumberjack, and his girlfriend gets kidnapped and murdered by a biker gang and a cult that is just permanently high on fucked up acid.
Okay.
And Nick Cage just goes on a John Wick style revenge killing.
Into that. Okay.
He hand forges a giant battle axe. Like he's like, do I have time to go just kill these guys and get it over with? He's like, no, I'm going to do a little light metalworking and make
some blacksmithing real quick.
And some of the kills are so fucking great. Okay. I describe them here, but I don't want to spoil them if you guys see them. Okay, I have to spoil this one.
Okay.
This guy is talking shit, and he's calling Nick Cage's wife or girlfriend a whore as after he killed her, and he's laying there against a tree while Nick Cage is standing over him with this battle axe. And Nick Cage just takes the pointy end of the axe and just pushes it in his mouth and then just all the way. And it's so fucking bloody. But he just shuts him up with his fucking axe, and it's the coolest shit. Because this guy, you're like, yeah, do it. Do it, Nick Cage. It's so good. It's just like John Wick, where it's they kill his puppy, and you're I don't fucking care what he does to these assholes anymore. Same deal. You just rooting for him to just brutally murder all these guys. It's sick. It's called Mandy. Do acid and watch it. You'll love it.
Do acid. Watch
it. Just
Mandy.
becomes animated at random points. It's fucking sweet. I'm telling you, this movie slaps.
Okay.
Pass it on to others, so that they too may be enlightened. Be kind, be wise. Be kind, be wise. Be enlightened, be enlightened. Be kind, be wise.
Be Kind Rewind is our retro segment where we take it back. Because we're old.
Sorry, I didn't do the rewind action when you did that.
We are old as fuck.
Yeah. Well,
both of us. I got these two little strips of white in my beard now.
Oh, shoot.
That's just how it is.
My hair is blonde, so it's hard to tell if anything's going gray because I'm blonde already. So can't tell.
So I wanted to randomly, I don't know why this came across my head. I wanted to Be Kind Rewind about game controllers throughout the years. Game controllers, I feel like we kind of settled in on 2 or 3 form factors. I wouldn't really count the Switch, but if you look at the Switch Pro controller, it is very not dissimilar from the Xbox controller.
We've settled in on dual joysticks with the triggers,
buttons on the right, D-pad on the left,
and
then the triggers. Yeah, there's 2 sets of triggers. They're all the fucking same. Fundamentally, they're all the same. But that was not always the case.
And if
you are a kid that's 20 years old or younger, you don't know that. you just think what a video game controller looks like is what they look like. Like there's no like.
They didn't have to go through what we went through.
Mm-hmm. So let's start with what we went through. Starting with my first controller was kind of a combination of three different ones because it was the Nintendo Entertainment System, the original Nintendo, and the Super Nintendo, and the Sega Genesis were all in very active rotation when I was a kid. With you go to a friend's house or whatever, like you get all three of those.
Yeah,
it wasn't like today where if you got the Xbox Series, your Xbox One is just shit. That thing's just trash. You don't even touch that.
don't even boot it up.
The Nintendo, the NES got a lot of play well into the 90s. People were still playing on that thing. And then they introduced the SNES, and it didn't really cannibalize it that much.
Like people played SNES, but we were right. We would play both. We still
the NES was, but which is crazy because the controllers were vastly different. The NES was this very rectangular, square corners, 2 buttons and a pad. And a D-pad. That was it, right?
Yeah, 2 buttons, D-pad, start, select. That's it.
And then the NES came out.
And you had to develop some pretty heavy calluses on your thumb to play the NES because the edges were not rounded.
No.
And you would play that thing for a while and you would shred up your finger for real.
Mm-hmm.
Like you had to get Nintendo calluses.
You just have little like divots in your palms from the corners. I don't know what they were thinking. So yeah. The SNES, they realized that the kids' hands were falling apart, so they rounded those corners so it was a smooth, and we're already getting closer to the form factor because that was the first ergonomic controller. That one and the Sega Genesis were much more rounded, and the Sega Genesis had 3 buttons, and then some of the controllers had up to 6. But the SNES controller, by default, that was the first one with triggers, right?
I don't think any SNES had triggers.
It didn't have triggers?
No, but it had 4 buttons. It had A, B, C, D. Oh, did it have?
It did have triggers.
It had like no, they're not triggers.
Bumpers.
Bumpers. L1, L2.
So they had 4
L1,
buttons and
R1.
bumpers. So they had one more button than the Sega Genesis, and they had the bumpers. And dude, that was it. From that point on, Nintendo always had the edge.
Sega's downfall was the 3 buttons because back then it was really famous. The big games were fighting games, Street Fighter and Mortal Kombat, and you would have to switch. I remembered because there was 2 punches and 2 kicks for each of the characters. And so on the Sega Genesis, you'd have to, I believe, hit the C button to switch between punch and kick. So A would be a punch, you hit the C, and now A is a kick. And you'd have to switch back and forth. It was not functional on Sega Genesis, but on the SNES, you had those 4 buttons. It was perfect for that. So,
yeah, I love that. I had a Genesis growing up, so that was what I grew up on. And I did feel like when I would go to a friend's house and play the SNES, I was like, dude, luxurious. Look at all these buttons.
You guys are swimming in buttons over here. I got a C button, but that's it.
Speaking of buttons, the N64 had some buttons that I don't understand. As long as I live, maybe a documentary will come out and explain it. But the idea of a 3-pronged controller for the N64,
also a controller that had a joystick on it, a thumbstick. Yeah. That was the first one. We hadn't seen that before. We'd had D-pads and we'd had joysticks. So the Atari had a joystick. And like a lot of the game systems had a extra peripheral as a joystick you could get, but this one had a thumbstick on that weird middle prong, which was honestly, I think you ended up using the thumbstick more than the
you always just played
left
with the 2
prong
right handles. And I just see this article right here, having never had the actual curiosity to Google it. Apparently Nintendo wanted it to represent the old school gaming controller, along with like the evolution of what a future controller should be like. So Nintendo made like a visualization of a controller literally evolving like a Pokemon. Because by the time they got to the GameCube, the vestigial controller arm had fallen off. And then it had evolved back into a 2 controller. So it literally just like molded that third handle back in with the D-pad on it.
But we really do have Nintendo to thank for that thumbstick. Really, like,
Yep. And the
I remember
triggers.
when that came out, you were like, "Whoa, yeah, wait,
Duh.
why haven't we done this before?" And
I
the games that came out on the N64 were legendary too, and so
Oh.
I think that it was such a good console with good games that I think it
didn't
really
matter how weird the controller was.
brought that thumbstick into the zeitgeist of gaming, and we can't do without it anymore. Like if you gave me a controller without a thumbstick, I'd be like, what is this garbage you're giving me? I can't use this."
Yeah. So the flip side to that, the only real competitor, because the Sega Saturn was also part of this generation with the N64, but come on, like,
Yep.
who had a Sega Saturn? The real competitor was the PlayStation, the original PlayStation, which that controller was pretty lacking, because I feel like halfway through that console's life cycle is when they actually released the one with the 2 D-pad, or the 2 joysticks, the thumb joysticks in the middle, and that kind of set the standard for PlayStation controllers forever. But when that originally came out, the PlayStation controller just was the D-pad on the left and the buttons and the triggers. And then once they got the joysticks, that controller was kind of off to the races. But it originally was not the best. And then after that one, it felt like the PlayStation 2 controller was literally just the upgraded PlayStation 1 controller with very few improvements. I think they had like the rumble part of it. Oh,
Yeah.
dude, speaking of rumble, do you remember the rumble pack for the N64 controller?
Yeah, wasn't it like an extra thing you plugged
You'd like
into
plug
it?
it in and it would just shake like
Oh
crazy.
yeah, hold on, I gotta look it up right now. There's like a whole section for that on the N64 controller, right? Like a
Yeah, well, I
big
think you could
plug-in
plug
thing.
other things into it.
Yeah,
It was not unlike the other one that I absolutely loved that you could plug things into. Of course, the Dreamcast controller with the virtual memory unit that had the little
Oh
screen.
yeah.
I'm sorry, the Sega Dreamcast was like, let's put a screen on your controller in 1999, and somehow we still haven't gotten back to that. I mean, I guess if you think the Wii U was finally when we got kind of back to that, but not really. I mean, I want a little screen on the controller. How is that so hard? PlayStation now has the little trackpad.
Yeah.
I want a little screen. Give me my little fucking screen back. Dreamcast was the most comfortable, and I still maintain when I pick up my old Dreamcast controllers to play like old Dreamcast games, it's still my favorite. It's so comfortable. I know these new ones that are like market tested and they're just about as good as they get, you know, the Pro controller or the Xbox controller, they're all fantastic. But man, that Dreamcast controller was the original one, which actually had a lot of impact on the design of the original Xbox controller. The big one.
The Xbox controller, big
remember
beefy
that?
looking thing.
When you'd go
It
to
was
like
slightly less beefy than the Dreamcast controller.
no, I think it was
still big.
beefier. It was heavy.
Oh,
You go to a Halo night, a LAN party, and if you got the original Xbox controller, you knew your forearms were getting a workout that night.
wasn't the Rumble built into those things? Isn't that
think
the first
so.
one where Rumble like came with the controller?
Yeah, because the PlayStation 2, I think, had Rumble by default. And then also, do you remember, I think my least favorite from that generation must have been the GameCube. The GameCube controller was one of the up there with the Wii U in terms of Nintendo's biggest whiffs. But I will say there are people out there that are screaming right now listening to this because that is a beloved controller. People pack the versions of that controller and go to Smash Brothers tournaments because they swear by.
Yeah, this is
by it.
Best one for it. It just looks so stupid to me. I don't know.
It just, and the little the C button stick just didn't work. It was a stick for selecting a button, like a button selection.
Yeah,
it didn't do it for me. I mean, I guess theoretically for a fighting game, it's genius, but for every other game, it's like, what are we doing here?
It's got two little like boobs hanging down the. So if you look
Uh-huh.
at it, that's what I always thought it looked
I don't know.
like.
The GameCube. I mean, the GameCube console itself was fucking awesome. Little, had a handle, and a little hidden compartment for your weed. It's great.
Oh, it did? I didn't know
So did
that
the
one.
PlayStation 2. The PlayStation 2 had a huge hidden compartment. They didn't really advertise it, but yeah, it was enough for like a quarter ounce of weed.
You can fit a 6-pack of sodas in there.
Yes, anything you want to keep cold. The last one we want to talk about, because then we're gonna get into the modern ones. But these were the ones where I was like, man, we've got some fucking great choices. The Xbox 360, the PlayStation 3, and the Wii. So the Xbox 360 controller was a total game change, because when they released the better original Xbox controller, that was awesome.
Yeah.
But the original fucking Xbox 360 controllers, the weight on those things, the heft and the way that they felt in your hands, that was the first for me. That was the first modern controller. That was the one. And every other controller has just kind of, because the PlayStation 3 controller, I don't know if you remember that one, it was the most disappointing thing ever. People thought we were going to get this. It was like the original like concept art was like a boomerang kind of a look, where if you were holding this thing, the bottoms of the handles would come out but beneath your hands, unless you were like Shaq. The thing was, it was like a half circle. It was like a car, like a wheel of a car. It was so dope. But I think they just decided it was cheaper to just make the PlayStation 2 controller all over again, but wireless. And it was the exact same thing as the PS2.
Yeah, it's controller. And honestly, PlayStation, it's funny because PlayStation controllers, they kind of landed on this, and then it hasn't changed that much in terms of visuals. Now, PlayStation does do cool things with their controllers.
Yeah, I think PlayStation 4 and 5 kind of course corrected on that, but from the PS2 to the PS3 was so fucking disappointing. And it still had those short little stumpies.
Yeah,
and so you could feel such an ergonomic difference when you would pick up your PS3 controller, because I had both a PS3 and a 360, and if I had a choice, I always chose to play on the 360, and it was exclusively because of the controller.
Yeah, I
that
do
PS3
remember
one sucked.
those weird little stumpy things to hold on to. Not great for my hands.
No.
Yeah.
And then the last thing, this was huge. This was a massive game changer, was the Wii controller.
The Wii changed everything.
Oh my god, dude. The never got tired of seeing the articles of retirement communities. People are just like, everyone's living longer because they discover the Wii. And they just sit there and they just bowl all day long and play tennis and shit. Dude, that was so wild. Because that kicked off, like the Kinect and all the motion-based controller things.
Well, and they still have motion systems in the Switch controllers. They still have motion in there. They really stuck with the motion, but yeah, that's something that Nintendo, I would say, has always excelled at. They do like having an active controller. And so but the Wii took that to the next level. It was the stupidest looking controller, but once you played it, you were like, this is the best thing ever.
Yeah, it was dope. And then they had the little sidekick. You had the two, and they had a couple that like you put in the gun. They they clipped in the gun, and you could play it. I mean, that thing was the original Wii controller. Oh man, I'll never forget how many.
Wiimote, isn't that what it was called?
Wiimote, yeah. How many dope games. And I played a ton of. The game I played the most on the Wii, which is kind of funny, was Mario Party 8.
Oh.
Tons of Mario Party. That was the best one. That was the one where they had the board that was like, they had the Monopoly board, and then they had the Donkey Kong board. Yeah, dude, it was so. Oh, the nunchuck. Thanks, Phil. That was the Wiimote and the nunchuck. That was the little one that you'd hold. That was like, they were like wired together.
Oh, yeah.
It's weird talking about the Wii like it was years and years ago, but it was like 20 fucking years ago. It's crazy.
Yeah. I think on the Wii, I think I ended up playing. I played a lot of Wii Sports, but was there was Rock Band on the Wii?
I think so. Yeah, I think
that's where I really started playing one of those types of games.
Yeah.
Guitar Hero or something like that.
Yeah.
So.
No, the Wii was sick, and I like that the Wii had a Netflix disc toward the end of
Yeah.
its life cycle. That was funny to me.
Yes.
You'd put it in so you could stream Netflix on your Wii. I'm sure the quality of the videos on that was fantastic. So yeah, that's it. That's our memories. If you guys have memories of your own, we want to hear them. We've got a great discussion here going on our YouTube stream, but you guys jump into our Discord. Tell us about your controller be kind or wine things.
We didn't talk
Moratorium,
about any of the old like generic versions of the controllers,
the
which
Mad Cats.
did get wacky. They were real colorful. They always had the better looking ones, but they were horribly functional. Like functional wise, they were terrible.
Yeah, a friend would hand you a controller that looked way cooler than the one he was using, and you're like, "Whoa, this is sick!" And he's like, "Yeah, enjoy,
You're gonna hate it.
have fun." Yeah, I remember Mad Cats. Now Mad Cats is like a premium controller maker.
There's a few of those that have tried to like power A. Like there's another one where they're like historically haven't been great, but they've been making some pretty good ones recently. So they're really trying to stay in there. But I have always felt like the branded ones have been the best.
Yeah.
So all right, let's move on.
Dice of Destiny.
Dice of Destiny. It's this game we play at the end of every episode. We're back. We were on like a bit of a break with all the Blurstie stuff.
Yeah, it does kind of fall off at the end of the year, and we're not around very much. So yeah, we're back into it.
Long story short, we have a couple dice. We roll them to help us pick a game. It's a 20-sided dice with genres, a 6-sided dice that has our budget, anywhere from $70 to $15, and then it's a 6-sided dice to decide who is going to play that game. A couple weeks ago, maybe a couple months ago, who knows? I rolled a mystery game, and I could spend $50 on it. I did not need to spend $50. I think I only spent $15 on a game called The Case of the Golden Idol.
Oh yeah,
this is a mystery game that when I saw the trailer, kind of originally reminded me of Return of the Obra Dinn.
Mm-hmm.
And I played this game for probably 10, 15 hours so far.
Oh, wow.
I am hooked on this game.
Oh,
I like this game a lot. I'll break it down for you. Basically what it does, and it's kind of like these pixely graphics, like 32-bit kind of style.
But like, it's not like the good-looking pixely graphics. Like the characters look so stupid.
Janky.
Yeah.
Kind of janky. It's kind of like it feels like a low budget pixel, like an 8-bit or a 16-bit game.
Yeah.
Which I love. Like as an art style, it's very much its own thing. So each chapter starts, well, there's a chapter and then there's these little, anyway, each chapter starts with a scene. And you come across a scene, usually it's like 2 or 3 little like static screens. And usually you don't know what the fuck's going on. It doesn't make sense. Like one of the ones I played today, there's a crowd of like 5 guys gathered at the foot of a lighthouse. And you can see around the corner of the little cliff that the lighthouse sits on, there's like a pair of legs that are poking out. And so you can click on the legs and see the person, the body, the dead body, and you can click to go up the lighthouse. And then you can just see the original scene. So there's like 3 or 4 screens, and they've all got things on them that you're going to click to like reveal the clues. And once you go through and you've viewed all the clues and they're all in your little like clue book, now you're trying to figure out what the hell happened. There's usually a couple different things to fill out. The first one that usually will want to do is who is everyone in the scene? And you can use things like, so you click on a guy and in his pockets, you see what is on this guy. And so he's got like a ring and a sword and a letter. And you read the letter and you can see that it's addressed to this guy. And so now you know that guy is most likely that's his name. And so you can go into the little names sheet and fill out who you think that guy is. And then you fill the names out, and then you may fill out a different clue. Like what's exactly going on in this like one screen. What kind of boots was this guy wearing? And then ultimately all those lead up to what feels kind of like Mad Libs. where you just are filling in words, filling in blanks of what happened. This guy killed this guy using that thing. It's like kind of like Clue. And you piece it all together, and if you get it right, you move on. Very basic concept, but the execution of this, it kind of feels like a game like Balatro, where you're like, the brain that came up with this does not operate like most people's brains. He has a very like fascinating, otherworldly way of like looking at things. Because like I said, these scenes you come across so rarely make sense. And the way that all the clues and the pieces come together, sometimes they just make you feel like a genius, because you're like,
Love
wow,
that.
only I could have figured out these crazy clues. Like, oh my gosh, of course I saw that. Oh, that makes sense. It's just the way that they break the scene down into clues and then let you like slowly kind of figure it out. Because so many times when I start playing on a new scene or a new chapter, I'm like, I'm never going to figure this out. I've read every single clue twice, and every blank is still blank. I'm like, where do I start? And then I'll just find one little thread that I can pull. And I'm like, oh, that's this guy. And I'm like, wait, if that guy is this guy, then this means he's holding this item. If he's holding this item, and then you just everything just starts to kind of fall into place. And you feel like an old timey gumshoe, like a 1920s detective walking around in a trench coat in the rain. Like, I don't know. It just works. It's got kind of a Lovecraftian vibe to it. Lots of like kind of spooky cult, old-timey cult stuff, because it's set in like the 1700s.
Yeah.
So you get like that old creepy Salem witch trial vibe from it. Man, it's good. I remember when I reviewed the Obra Dinn years and years and years and years ago, and what I said in my review was how sad that game made me, knowing that there was nothing out there quite like it that could scratch the same itch. I'm not saying this scratches the exact same itch, but I am having an itch scratched, and it reminds me of Obra Dinn.
And there's a few reviews that say that. Like, it's
Mhm.
kind of Obra Dinn-y. Like,
Mhm.
you're not the only one.
Yeah. So this game, guys, if you like a mystery game, if you like a puzzle game, it's like an old point and click PC game from the mid 90s in terms of involvement. Like, you just click on stuff. You're just clicking on words. Like, there's no gameplay necessarily. In fact, that's the only nit I have, is I think it's designed to play point and click, but it says it's compatible with a controller. And so I've been playing it on the Steam Deck. It's very annoying on the Steam Deck because the clues, they're little squares that are around the screen. And when you click over to the clue with the D-pad, it's not intuitive. Sometimes you'll click down, like one box will be right above the second box, and you think you can just click down to go to the next box, and it just selects a box on the other side of the screen. It's very annoying.
One of the reviews said they're
optimized.
just using the touchscreen to do it.
Yep, you can just do touchscreen.
Yep.
I'm just too lazy to do it. So that's a tiny nit. I don't think they really designed it with that in mind, but I think if it's touchscreen, I don't know if they have it on phones, but this would be awesome on a phone. This would be perfect just on like an iPad too.
Yeah.
I don't know. It just makes you think.
It has 98% of the reviews are overwhelmingly positive of 7,133 reviews.
Yeah. Yep. Like I said, even my nits, I don't feel comfortable like really voicing them or really adding them as a deterrent to playing the game, because you're playing this game and you're like, I would eat a lot. I'd swallow more bugs. Honestly, if this game does have bugs, kind of annoying ones. I've run into a few annoying ones, and I don't care. I don't fucking care. I'll just keep playing because it's addictive. It's very rewarding when you figure out all the clues, and it just like all of a sudden when all the boxes they're all right, all of a sudden, of course, it says you did it. So you could brute force this game. You brute force your entire way through it without actually solving the things. Just keep filling in the blanks. it would take you hundreds of hours and you would hate yourself, but you could do it. But it's just so much more rewarding and fun to try to figure these out. Are you on the Steam page?
Yeah.
How much does it cost retail?
This game is $18.
It's well worth $18. It really is. Like Peterson said, the reviews aren't wrong. Like, it is stellar. Like, it really is fantastic.
It looks like it's fun. It looks like a game that you'd have fun just sitting down and playing by yourself and just
yeah, I'm taking it because I'm going on a
thinking
work
about
trip
it.
next week, and it's coming on the plane with me.
yeah.
And I think a 4 or 5 hour plane ride with this game just sounds like a great time. I'm really looking forward to it. So that is The Case of the Golden Idol. And I think, haven't those guys made other games?
The developer.
there's-
yeah.
What other games did they make? Oh, this has been out since 2022?
Yes, they have added
I thought it
stuff.
just came out. Why did I think?
There's
did
a
they
DLC
just add stuff
on it? Yeah.
Oh, this is so funny. This is from the Wikipedia page. The Case of the Golden Idol was similarly inspired by the design of 2018 game Return of the Obra Dinn.
Oh, yeah, there you go.
So they did where I was sitting there just like, oh, I wish there was another game.
I
like
want
this.
more.
Someone just went out and just fucking made it.
Yeah.
Genius.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think maybe there's downloadable content. So that would explain why there seems to be so much more.
This is the same publisher as Balatro, which is kind of interesting.
Interesting.
A few games that I've played too, Abiotic Factor, which was a great game. So yeah, the publisher has a decent track record, which is interesting.
Yeah, this is very cool. Yeah, they have additional games and stuff, which is awesome. They built this game in a way that makes sense. You know, Return of the Obra Dinn was a very much a singular story as a game, and you couldn't really do downloadable content. It would be weird. But yeah, this is smart. I'll probably buy the other chapters after I beat these because it's just fun.
Just having a good time with it.
Check it out. That means we got to re-roll. Re-roll.
Yeah.
All right, Peterson, what do you want? Odds
You have gotten the last how many?
all of them.
Let's see. You had that one, and then let's see. Let me just check real quick. You had the Lego Star Wars before that.
We're still playing that.
Okay,
Pretty
so you've done 2 in a row, so just give me 4 numbers because I had one before that. So give me 1, 2, 3, 4.
Okay, I got 5, 6. Here comes a 6. It's a 4.
Okay.
All right, you want to roll your 20?
I don't have one on me
Okay, I
because
got it.
I'm still in the living room. I fixed my electricity. I just need to move all my crap
Moving
back
your shit
now.
takes forever. It's so
Ugh, I
annoying.
hate it.
All right, you got a 5, and that is a female protagonist.
Oh, all right.
Very cool.
All right.
So female protag is off the board, and peaceful relaxing has been added.
Peterson rolls. Okay,
And
roll
then let's
the
roll
amount.
Your money dice. It's a 6.
Okay.
So you can spend all the money you want on your female protag game.
Okay.
Maybe you could play Lego Horizon Zero Dawn.
No. I'm looking straight out here. I'm seeing a new and trending list. I got Sex Club Simulator. Looks like it would be okay.
Oh yeah. Sex
I don't
Club.
know.
Dude, all porn games essentially technically are a female protagonist, right?
I think so. I don't know. I haven't played as many as you, I don't think. So
Well, there's only one way to work on that.
no, only if I roll sex game. We'll get a good one. Okay.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's it. That's the whole sode.
We did it.
And to play us out, we have some music from The Case of the Golden Idol, which you guys are going to see. Even the music slaps. Everything about this is good. This game is just good. I love that it was inspired by Obra Dinn. That makes me even happier because that's what it felt like a spiritual sequel.
That's great.
Very
That's
cool.
great. Yeah.
Okay. Well, big thanks to Phil and Patrick and Abby for hopping on our YouTube and saying what up. Always good to chat with you guys. Don't forget to vote on Blursties.
Don't forget to vote.
You got to vote or don't vote, whatever. I'm JD logging off.
And this is Peterson going AFK.
See you, dudes.